So with only 10 days until the championship season does get back underway, what I thought we'd do for today's video is go through each championship club and decide who's going to be your club's most important player for the rest of this season. This may not necessarily be the best player of the season so far, or it may not be your best player either, but a player who I can see having quite a strong end to the season and who I think is going to turn out to be quite important given the fixtures of each club. So do let me know down below, who do you fancy to be your key player for the remaining games this season? I think in this one we got a decent range of sort of goalies, defenders, midfielders, attackers. We've got a good range throughout the video, so if you do go on to enjoy, please do leave a like. But without any further ado, let's hop into it. For Barnsley, I'm going for a bit of an obvious pick, but it is going to be Cauley Woodrow. I think that the way they've changed their system throughout the season, now playing with that diamond a little bit more with Woodrow at the tip of the diamond, it comes as no surprise to see that the majority of Barnsley's best performances have come when Woodrow's on top form. You know, probably their best of the season was away at Fulham in that game. Woodrow got 2 goals and an assist. It is quite interesting that a lot of the clubs near the bottom of the championship actually have some really sort of top level strikers. Woodrow's got 14 for this season. It's not just his goal scoring ability, it's his ability to link up with those around him. He drops into midfield and makes things happen, and to be honest, looking at the remaining fixtures that they have, I think that a player like Woodrow really could thrive against some of these, in some cases, sort of lacklustre defences that they still got to play against. Luton Town Glenn Ray, since he's been back in the side since the start of the year, their defensive record has improved exponentially. So far this season, Luton do have the worst defensive record in the league, conceding 71 goals. However, since Ray has been back in the side, I think he takes a bit of pressure off that back line. He averages 2.5 interceptions per game, which is way more than anyone else in that Luton squad. Breaks up play really well for them in midfield. He's coming off the back of a cruciate ligament injury, which he picked up in 2018, so has spent a lot of time on the sidelines, but I think he's really hit the ground running from what he showed before the lockdown, and if Luton are to survive, they're going to need to keep things tight at the back, and I think that he's going to be vital to that in midfield. Charlton Athletic, Macaulay Bonne, the situation regarding Lyle Taylor is going to continue to rumble on, and people are going to continue to talk about it, but if there's one player who needs to fill the role that's going to be left by Taylor, it is going to be Macaulay Bonne. And obviously one thing we need to remember is Lyle Taylor's missed a lot of the season through injury, and when he was out injured, Bonne filled his shoes. He scored 8 goals this season and has been pivotal in some of the games where Charlton have picked up points. That 3-2 win over Bristol City where he bagged a brace, he was absolutely excellent. He's not quite as polished as Taylor, but if you get the service to him, I think he'll score goals. Hull City, Tom Eaves. Now Hull need goals from somewhere, and before the break it was looking like Tom Eaves was actually going to go ahead and miss the entirety of the season. He picked up an injury at Preston, and since then he's not the most prolific striker in the league, but he does give Hull a platform to play around. He's a good target man. He's got 5 goals in the league for Hull. I was going to pick John Terrell as their key player, but I just don't trust that he'll be able to stay fit for this season. But Hull right now, I think, are in a better position than they were when the season was called off. They've had a lot of players returning from injury, which I think is going to massively bolster their squad. Wigan Athletic, Leon Balogun, I think that his impact on their defence after January has been absolutely massive. He came on loan from Brighton on deadline day. Since his arrival, they've kept 4 clean sheets in 6 matches, and that's going to be something that they're going to be wanting to continue as they do look to avoid the drop. Goals have been a bit of an issue for Wigan throughout the season, but if they do manage to keep things tight at the back, then they should just about do enough to survive. Middlesbrough, Patrick Roberts. It's been no secret so far this season that Borough have struggled with creativity. We mentioned it in the previous video. They got the worst shot conversion rate in the league. They are the lowest scorers in the league as well, only finding the back of the net 37 times. However, one player who could make the difference for them for the rest of the season is Patrick Roberts. We only got to see a really short burst of him in a Borough shirt when he came on loan in January before he got injured. He's now back in training, and I think a player like Roberts, with his flair, technical ability and the ability to create chances for others, really could be a big game changer for Borough for the rest of their season. Huddersfield Town, Jonathan Hoag. I feel like in a relegation battle you need people like Jonathan Hoag, and Huddersfield are quite lucky to have a couple of players like him. Someone who is going to do everything for the cause, and I feel like he is a bit like the glue that holds this Huddersfield side together. At the moment, Huddersfield have got a lot of young players in there, whether it's people they're bringing through themselves or the people they've still got on loan. I think his leadership, along with Schindler's now, is going to be more important than ever for these final few games of the season. Breaking things up and standing up when you're being counted, Jonathan Hogg's going to be vital for them, I think. Stoke City, Nick Powell. Under Michael O'Neill, he has been absolutely excellent, and I've always rated Nick Powell, really. It was just his Stoke career got off to a bit of a slow start because he's so injury prone, and should he stay fit for the remainder of the season, I fancy him to play quite a big role in Stoke, really. I mean, before the break in the season, he was on absolute fire for them. In his last 7 matches, he picked up 4 Man of the Match awards, had 6 goal contributions in his last 7 matches with 3 goals and 3 assists. And if you supply him with the right people around him, you know, if you get a nice link up between him, Lucas and Campbell going forward, I think that could be a really nice trio. Birmingham Scott Hogan, it's no secret that before football stopped, Scott Hogan was quite literally the most informed player in the Championship. He was absolutely ripping things up. It was like he'd taken the time machine back to 2017, but I don't think Birmingham have had official confirmation of getting his loan extended yet. I think a lot of Championship clubs are still waiting for that process, but by the looks of things, Hogan's happy to stay, so I'd imagine that he would get that loan extended until the end of the season. And what an impact he's made at Birmingham. That link up with Djukovic up front, 7 goals and an assist in 8 appearances. If he keeps up that record, you'd imagine Birmingham finish strong. Sheffield Wednesday, Dominic Iorfa. I think that Wednesday need to improve their back line for the rest of this season. Before football got broken up, they conceded 14 goals in their last 5 matches. The last game they had was that 5-0 hammering away at Brentford, and out of their back line, there's a couple players I can see stepping up, but one of them in particular is Dominic Iorfa. I think he does have something about him, and should Wednesday look to turn around their form for the rest of the season, their defensive record is just going to have to improve, and so it's going to fall upon players like Iorfa to really step up for the rest of the season. Like I say, I think he's got it in him. Reading Lucas Jow, one of Reading's real strengths so far this season has been their midfield, but something that's let them down from time to time has been their strike force. They've all been quite hit and miss, and Lucas Jow, we've not actually seen too much of in a Reading shirt so far this season. He's been in and out of the squad through injuries, but now he is back in full training for the rest of this season. I fancy him to be the main man to lead the line for them, and in the games that he has played for Reading, they've got a pretty decent record when he is lining up front. In the 11 starts he's made, he's got 5 goals and 3 assists. QPR, I'm going to go for Don Ball. Listen, we all know about QPR's attacking exploits, and I think that Eze, Sai Samuel and Hugo will continue to score goals for QPR this season, but what's going to be important to QPR having a strong finish to the season is going to be how many goals they're going to be conceding, and Don Ball is going to play a big role in that. I think that this season has really stepped up. He's that anchor in midfield for them, averages 2.5 tackles per game. Might not be the prettiest player that QPR have got, but with the way they like to flood teams going forward, they need that man at the back to be stable for them, and Don Ball in midfield really holds it down for them. Derby County, Tom Lawrence. As a player, I do like Lawrence quite a bit, actually. He scored more goals than anyone else in the Championship from outside the box this season, which is a testament to how skillful he is. I don't think that he always completely applies himself, and I think there are large areas of inconsistency when it comes to Lawrence, but since the turn of the year, I think he's been brilliant for Derby. With 9 goals and 3 assists this season, he has been one of their most creative outlets. He is frustrating, but when he is properly on it, there's not many better than him on the left-hand side in the league for me. Swansea, I'm going to go for Brewster. A lot of games involving Swansea this season have been very tight. They've drawn 14 matches so far this season, the second highest in the Championship. Who's going to make the difference? It's going to be a striker. Now, sometimes you get youngsters coming into the Championship on loan from Premier League clubs where you can tell they're just not quite cut out for it yet. They've been playing youth football for a long time, and it's a bit of a cliche, but sort of the physicality of the Championship can be too much for them. Brewster, I don't get that impression at all. I think his movement's very good. I think he's got a real striker's instinct about him, and he has scored some fantastic goals, like the technique on that goal he scored away at Blackburn. Swansea still have a real possibility of finishing in the top 6. They're only 3 points outside there at the moment. Should they get there, they're going to need their striker to be on top form, and I fancy Brewster to really go ahead and rip it up for them for the rest of this season. For Blackburn, I've gone for Tosin Adarabioyo, similar to Brewster as well, actually, another youngster on loan from the Premier League, but his impact on this Rover squad this season has been massive, and Blackburn have had, to be fair to them, a lot of very consistent performers this season. So I could have picked a number of people, but I think that one of their main strengths has been how many clean sheets they've kept this season and how tight they've kept things at the back, as well as being an excellent defender. Adarabioyo also allows Blackburn to play out from the back with his ability on the ball. He keeps things very calm, and in some of the crunch matches that they've still got to come, that's going to be more important than ever. Cardiff, I've got to be going for Lee Tomlin. It's the obvious pick, but obviously when he picked up that injury, I think around February time, it was looking like he would be missing the rest of the season, but one of the benefits of this break has been we're going to get to see people who were supposed to be missing the end of the season return for the end of it. That's massively going to benefit Cardiff, because let's be real, they're not the same side without him. His record since Neil Harris has come in has been absolutely sublime. 7 goals, 7 assists this season. He's their main hub going forward. He also gives them an air of unpredictability as well, and I mean, their first game back is against Leeds, and we all know how the game at Ellen Road went. I'm excited to say the least. With Millwall, I'm going for the obvious pick as well. That's going to be Jed Wallace. I think that Millwall have one of the best systems in the league. I think that everyone plays their part in it, and Jed Wallace is just like that sprinkle on top, that added bit of dynamism, who's able of taking them really to the next level. And at the moment, as a North End fan, I'm obviously looking over my shoulder about all the teams that are looking to chase us down. Millwall are one of the sides I'm most worried about. Looking at their fixture running, I think they've got a lot of opportunities to pick up points. I think that Jed Wallace is going to be crucial to that. He's got 19 goal contributions this season. I don't think that anyone at Millwall underrates him, but when I've seen that a lot of people, and I'm probably guilty of this myself, picking like teams of the seasons and stuff like that, Jed Wallace doesn't get mentioned enough for what he's done for Millwall this season. For Bristol City, I'm going to go for Nahki Wells, another team who are chasing down the top 6. What's going to be crucial for Bristol City is goals being scored, and Nahki Wells, someone who signed for them in January, because of the break in the season, we've not really been able to appreciate, you know, how Nahki Wells has been able to do so far and settle in. I think that having this extra time to get familiar with the surroundings, get to know his teammates a little bit more, we could be seeing a new rejuvenated Nahki Wells, the one we saw at QPR at the start of the season. In 20 appearances, 20 starts at QPR, he scored 13 goals for them. If he's able to replicate that goal outlet for the rest of the season for Bristol City, they've got a fantastic chance of finishing in the top 6. So far this season, he's found the back of the net twice for them in 5 starts and 3 appearances from the bench. For Preston North End, I'm going to go outside the box a little bit, and I'm going to go for Scott Sinclair. Quite similar for Nahki Wells at Bristol City. Because of this break in the season, players who signed for clubs in January, we've not completely got to see the impact that they're going to have on that club yet because football got broken up. From the glimpses we saw of Scott Sinclair, it has taken him a while to settle in. There's been flashes of brilliance now and again from Sinclair, but if he was to hit the ground running when football restarts, that's going to be such a big boost for Preston in the promotion push. After having this extra time with the squad to get to know everyone, get to know different patterns of play, that would be a massive booster for us. Obviously, he scored a fantastic goal at home at Swansea, showing what he is capable of. A dynamic winger who's able to come up with those game-winning moments, that could be the difference. Nottingham Forest, Sam Bassau, he's another player who's been allowed to really get fit, get back and ready into this Forest squad over this break. He's been sort of in and out with injuries throughout the season, but when it comes to big matches, Sau is that sort of player that you want to have in the squad. So far this season, Forest record against the top 6 has been very impressive, and with some of the big games that they've got coming up, and then potentially the playoffs as well, Sau's someone who you want to have anchoring in your midfield, don't you? He averages 3.8 tackles per match, which is the second highest in the Championship, and he's going to be massive for them as that shield in front of the back four. Brentford, Pontus Jansson, I think it's important that they have characters in their squad to get them over the line. Of course, their forward 3 is going to be crucial for the rest of the season, but it was no coincidence to see that when Jansson got injured, Brentford's defensive record started to dwindle a little bit. I actually think that before Jansson got injured, Brentford did have the best defensive record in the Championship. They were absolutely brilliant, and the ability to keep clean sheets and keep the opposition out does take the pressure off the forward 3 a little bit and just allows them to do their own thing. I've got no doubt that Jansson's going to be massive for them for the rest of the season, should he be fit. And it's the same sort of thing for Fulham as well. I'm going to go for Michael Hector for Fulham. Since he came in January, wow, have Fulham improved at the back. One thing that we were saying quite a lot at the start of the season where, yeah, Fulham are good, they've got a good squad, attacking options are through the roof, but is their defence good enough for automatic promotion? At the start of the season, it probably wasn't. However, with the introduction of Kongolo as well and Michael Hector, they've improved exponentially. Hector, I would go as far to say he is top 5 centre-backs in the league, and it was no surprise to see after his introduction Fulham were keeping a lot more clean sheets, and I think that going for the rest of the season is going to be pivotal should they be able to keep up the pressure with the top 2. West Brom's going to be Grady Diangana, another player returning from injury after this break. I watched a little bit of a clip on West Brom's Twitter of him and Pereira linking up in training. My God, I forgot just how good these two have been this season. Diangana has flown under the radar a little bit this season, but how agile and explosive and quick his feet are, the guy's absolutely bonkers. He's got 5 goals and 5 assists so far this season, but while Diangana has been out of that West Brom squad, they were lacking something until Robinson came in and offered something a little bit different on that left-hand side. They weren't the same squad without Diangana and that explosivity, and having him back into the side, I really think he'll end up being crucial for them. Leeds United, Ilan Millier. With Kiko Casillas still serving his ban, the responsibility in goal is going to fall on the shoulders of the young Frenchman, and to be honest, from everything that I've seen of him so far this season, I think he's going to go ahead and do that. He had the game in the FA Cup against Arsenal, and then the last 2 league games before the league got broken up against Hull and Huddersfield, where he kept clean sheets in both those matches. 20 years old, there's bags of potential there, but obviously Leeds need him to perform now, and I think that obviously Leeds fans know more than anyone that your goalkeeper needs to be someone who's going to keep a calm head when it comes down to crunch matches. You know, we all remember Kiko Casilla and what happened against Derby in the playoffs last season. Confidence in the tempo of the squad is going to come from the back, and that's going to filter forward. Leeds have already got the best defensive record in the Championship. They're going to want that to continue for the rest of this season and to secure top spot and promotion. And with some of the games that they've got coming up, I do fancy quite a few of them to have a real good go at Leeds, so the keeper's going to be kept busy, but I think he'll rise to the occasion. But guys, there you have it. There is one player from every Championship club who I fancy to have a big end to the season. So do you agree with my picks? Let me know in the comments down below. Who do you yourselves fancy to have quite the impact on the remainder of the season? Let me know down below. I'm interested to see what you guys have to say. And I'm just so excited for Championship football to be coming back. I honestly cannot wait. But guys, that will wrap it up for today. So if you did go on to enjoy, please do leave a like. It is always massively appreciated. Make sure you subscribe for a bit of regular Championship content. Build up from that. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one.